Hello friends, how are you? I hope you all are in pink of health. You are taking care of yourself and your family members. On the background of Corona, myself, Mrs. Bhavana Vibhute from Srimati Vatsaladevi Desai Girls High School and Junior College of the Atpadi Education Society, Atpadi. Friends, as you all know, last year the syllabus of 11th standard has changed. It is divided into 4 sections. First section is prose, second section is poetry, the third section is based on writing skills, and the fourth section is genre drama. So today I have chosen poetry section. Friends, tell me one thing. Why do we so respect, why do we worship the trees in our Indian culture? Yes, we worship them because they give us a lot of things. They not only give us food, shelter and clothing, but also they give us much more than that. They also give us clean and fresh air to breathe. They give us oxygen. They make the rain fall and much more. So friends, they are very important. They play a major role in human life. Friends, when we plant a seed or when we plant a sapling, and afterwards, after some days, when a little plant come out of that seed, how do you feel? What is your feeling? What is your reaction? Yes, of course, we feel very happy, very joyful. We feel very glad because the feeling that it is my own tree, I have produced it, that feeling is really amazing. And the feeling of owner of something is really great. And that is why today we are going to study a poem, Cherry Tree by Ruskin Bond. Though the name of the poet is Ruskin Bond, he is born in India, in Himachal Pradesh. He is a very talented person. He had written a lot of poems, a lot of essays, a lot of short stories. And because of his contribution in Indian literature, he has received the Sahitya Akademi Award in 1992 and the award Padma Shri in 1999. So friends, let's start the poem. First of all, I'll read out the first stanza of the poem for you. We can't sing this poem because it is a big poem, it is too long, and it is not a particular rhythmic pattern. So, I'll read the first stanza. 8 years have passed since I placed my cherry seed in the grass. Must have a tree of my own, I said, and watered it once, and went to bed, and forgot. But cherries have a way of growing, though no one caring very much or knowing. And suddenly, that summer near the end of May, I found a tree had come to stay. It was very small, 5 months child, lost in the tall grass running wide. Goats ate the leaves. The grass cutter's scythe split it apart, and a monsoon blight shriveled the slender stem. Even so, next spring, I watched 3 new shoots grow. The young tree struggled, upward thrust, its arms in a fresh fire's lust for light and air and sun. So friend, this is the first stanza. Now let's discuss about it. In this stanza, the poet is recalling past memories. He has become nostalgic. 8 years before, he planted a seed in the ground. Once only he watered that plant, and afterwards he forgot about it. But in spite of his carelessness, a small plant came out of that seed from the ground at the end of summer, at the end of May. The poet noticed that small tree. At that time, it was just a 5 months old child. The poet calling it a 5 months child because the plant was too young and it was 5 months old. But it was growing in tall and wild grass. We call tan in Marathi. And that is why no one could see it. It is totally unnoticeable in that tall grass. So, goats came, ate the leaves. Also, the grass cutter cut with the grass the leaves of that tree with the help of scythe. Scythe, you know what is the meaning of scythe? Scythe means a tool which is used to cut grass. We call vida or koitha in Marathi. But even though in the rainy season, in the monsoon, the rain also affected the tree, it splitted it apart. The word blight has been used by the poet here. What is the meaning of blight? Causing damage. We call in Marathi hani or nuksan. But in spite of all these things, the little plant was still there. It was shriveled, of course. Shrivel, do you know the meaning of shriveled? Shrivel means dried. Because it was too tender, it was too small. In spite of all these adverse conditions, the plant survived. In the spring season, we call spring Vasanta Ritu in Marathi. In the spring season, new shoots, small leaves grew on that plant. And the young plant too struggling for survive, for life. It wants to stay alive somehow. So, it was pushing itself upwards the sky, upwards the sun, upwards the air. So friends, this is all about this first stanza. Now, the second stanza. I'll read out the second stanza first. I could only wait as one who watched, wandering while time and the rain made a miracle from green growing pain. I went away the next year, spent a season in Kashmir, came back thinner, rather poor, but richer by a cherry tree at my door, 6 feet high on my own dark cherry, and I could scarcely believe it. A cherry hung from a branch, just one. And next year, there were blossoms, small, pink, fragile, quick to fall, at the merest breath, the sleepiest breeze. Now, let's discuss about the second stanza. In this second stanza, now the poet actually wants the tree to grow it fast, very fastly, because he was impatient. But as you all know, that each living thing takes its own time to grow. And in the same way, the poet has to wait till the tree grows. Slowly, day by day, the plant was growing. The time and the rain made a miracle on it. Miracle, in Marathi, we call it chamatkar. The nature cycle made it grow from green growing pain. The word used, green growing pain, means that plant has to face a lot of oddities, a lot of difficulties, worse situations, tough conditions. But even in spite of all these obstacles, that plant was trying to live very bravely, and it was struggling for life. After some days, the poet went to Kashmir. And when he came back from Kashmir, he was rather thinner, and also he had not much money, means he has become somewhat poor, means he was in depressed condition, economically and physically he became weak. But when he came to home, when he saw that rich cherry tree, he couldn't believe that that was the same tree now, which has now become 6 feet tall. And he couldn't believe also that it was his own tree. And he also couldn't believe that there was actually a ripe red cherry hanging from a branch. And he also couldn't believe that it was his own tree, own cherry tree. The next year, the tree was in its full blossom. Blossom? Blossom means flowers that bloom on the tree. We call mohor in Marathi. So the next year, the tree was in its full blossom, in its full bloom. And those flowers, those blossoms, very beautiful, pink color. They were so fragile. They were so delicate that the smallest breath or the slightest breeze can make it fall. And after seeing all this scene, the poet was so happy. He saw that richness of that cherry tree, which is now in its full blossom. Now, let's look at the third stanza. First of all, I'll read out the third stanza. I lay on the grass, at ease, looking up through leaves at the blue blind sky, at the finches as they flew, and they flitted through the dappled green, while bees in an ecstasy drank of nectar from each bloom, and the sun sank sweetly, and the stars turned in the sky, and moon moths, and singing crickets, and I, yes I, praise night and stars and tree, that small, the cherry grown by me. Now let's discuss about this third and last stanza. Now in this stanza, the poet came back to the present from the past memories. And now he is laying under the cherry tree. And he could see the evening sky through those branches, through the leaves. And he also could see the various types of insects, birds, flittering around the cherry tree. The poet used the word here, dappled. What is the meaning of dappled? Dappled means having dark or light patches. The poet is also watching the bees, honeybees. They are drinking that nectar. Nectar means that sweet liquid produced by flowers. We call madh or amrut in Marathi. The bees were drinking that nectar in an ecstasy. What is the meaning of ecstasy? Ecstasy means a feeling of happiness or joy, great joy. While the poet was enjoying all these happy moments, suddenly, very swiftly, the night occurred. And the poet realized that there were only moon moths. Moon moths are a typical type of insects which we can see them easily. Then singing crickets. Cricket we call ratkida in Marathi. So there were only moon moths, singing crickets, the poet himself, and the cherry tree. And yes, he was praising all those things in his mind. That night, those stars, those birds, those insects, and that cherry tree. His own cherry tree. His heart was singing with joy and telling him that this is my tree, my own tree, which I have planted the seed 8 years ago. So, let's stop here. Here the poem finished. So, what do we learn from this poem, from this cherry tree? We also have to struggle in our life in spite of all the tough, very worst situation and various problems. Then and then only we can achieve the success. We can see the better days in our life. So friends, in this poem, various poetic devices were used by the poet, like alliteration. Shriveled the slender sting. S sound is repeated in the same line. That is why it is alliteration. As well as antithesis is also used in this poem. For example, it was very small, 5 months child, lost in the tall grass. Small and tall, both two opposite ideas are occurred in the same line. That is why it is antithesis. And personification is also used in this poem by the poet. The same example, it was very small, 5 months child. Actually, it was not a human child, but even though poet calls it a child, and that is why it is a personification. The imagery is also used by the poet in various lines. So friends, do you understand the poem? Now, what you have to do? Read the poem carefully, again and again. Try to summarize the poem in your own English. Try to understand the feelings of the poet. Try to understand the meaning between the lines. And write down the summary in your own language. And try to solve the activities given below the poem. So friends, I think you have understood the poem. You have enjoyed it. So, we'll meet again in my next video. Till then, bye-bye. And one more thing, stay at home, stay safe, and take care. So friends, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe my YouTube channel, Enjoy Learn.